that there's a difference. This is an old management axiom. There is a difference between what's important and what's urgent. And yeah, the deficit is important, but is it urgent? Well, the Republicans have made it that way. Let's ask Congressman DeFazio his thoughts on this. Peter DeFazio, representing the 4th District of Oregon so ably in the United States House of Representatives. Congressman, welcome back to the program.
Thanks, Tom. I think the most urgent deficit in America is the jobs deficit. And I think you would find, I haven't seen any polling on that recently, but I think a majority of the American people would agree with us. And a huge problem around here is both the Obama administration and the Republicans seem to be, and most of my Democrat colleagues, are not distinguishing between, spending, which is an investment and puts people to work, versus consumptive spending. And in fact, they're all leaning toward the consumptive side because the only things we're doing that are supposedly putting people back to work, are tax cuts. Social Security tax holiday, the extension of the Bush tax cuts. Well, those things are working really well, so we should keep doing them. They're incredibly expensive, and in fact, they're not working. If we could get back to a reasonable rate of unemployment, 4 or 5%, we would solve a quarter of the deficit right there, just because those people wouldn't be drawing benefits that they need just to survive, and they would be paying taxes. That would be big.
And then another quarter of the deficit is the Bush tax cuts, and another quarter of the deficit is the wars in Afghanistan and Iraq.
We've taken care of 3/4 of the deficit, which is more than they're proposing with this big gang of 6 proposals.
Right, and then the final quarter, and you've probably seen this graph from the Center for Economic Policy and CEPR, Center for Economic Policy Research, I think it is, Dean Baker's group, that the fourth quarter is the result of the recession. And if you were to get unemployment back down to 4 or 5%, you'd have no recession. So that would solve the entire thing.
Right. Without doing away with Medicare, without regressively restricting Social Security benefits, without putting new regressive chain CPI into the tax code. Yeah, amazing.
Right. So here's what I don't get, Congressman DeFazio. Why, actually, by the way, in our chat room, Andy, KCMO, he says, call them the gangsters of 6. What's the deal with the gangsters or the gang of 6? I'll be respectful here. Mm-hmm. What's the deal with the gang of 6, particularly the Democrats on this group? I don't see any progressives represented there. Why would the president ask for those particular people on this group, or how did that come about? And why is he taking seriously these proposals that are actually so far to the right of where Dwight Eisenhower was that he would have rejected them? Frankly, I think Richard Nixon would have rejected them.
Well, this was a self-constituted group. It wasn't something that the president asked or was convened. They've been meeting for, I think, more than a year, and it fell apart when Senator Coburn pulled out. And according to news accounts today, he only came back in after they promised to cut substantially out of Medicare and Medicaid. And then he said, okay, I'll come back now. And the thing is, if you look at it, Obama says it meets his formulary, which is 3 for 1, which I think is a crummy ratio in terms of cuts for revenues. But it doesn't really do that. What they do actually is they reduce revenues, and they count the $1 trillion that they would keep. It's a little complicated, but the bottom line is they are assuming that the Bush tax cuts go away. Stay in place. So therefore, they're assuming they raise revenue. But if the Bush tax cuts went away, they are actually reducing the amount of money we would get, if we just let the Bush tax cuts go away, and they're doing it by substantially slashing top tax rates.
So rich people will pay less than 1% more. People at the bottom of the working pile.
Well, I'm not even sure how they pay more, because they're talking about a 23 to 29% top tax rate,
which is right now 36. Right.
So there's that. There's also indexation. The tables I saw yesterday said with the changed CPI, low-income people get hit hard because they'll move in brackets, but people who are already at the top won't move at all. So there's that. It would also slow the growth of the cap on earnings for Social Security, so that helps people who earn over $106,800 a year. As far as I can tell, it's really designed to put in place a number of regressive revenue-raising measures.
Why would the president go along with this?
Good question. I missed this meeting last week, but Bernstein, the guy who worked for
Jared Bernstein.
Yeah, he worked for.
He was Obama's economist.
Yeah, he was at a dinner, and he was saying, well, they have decided that the independent voters, according to their polling, are just concerned about deficit and not about jobs, and so therefore they're designing everything to look like deficit hawks. And Obama's the one who put the big deal on the table, and I guess he doesn't care where the money comes from.
That's political suicide.
Yeah.
Harry Truman said when the voters are faced with a choice between a Democrat who behaves like a Republican or a real Republican, they'll choose the real Republican.
Right.
And same on the Democratic side, obviously.
Right. I mean, just this morning I spoke on the floor, and I said, look, they're making this incredibly complicated. It appears that, they've totally bought into the lowering taxes, increases revenues, creates jobs, all that stuff. And the cuts are real. Yeah. And the restraint or the change CPI impacts on seniors and veterans and and middle and lower income working people are very real. But
this is Reaganomics all over again.
Yeah, I mean this is really incredible. And compare and contrast that to all, and this is all. I'm saying all. They want shared sacrifice. I'm for it. Just let all the Clinton era tax rates go back into effect. That does mean, middle income people pay a little bit more, but guess what they get in return? They get their Medicare when they retire. Their parents continue to get their Medicare. They get their Social Security, and they'll get it, at a rate that they earned as opposed to one that's artificially restrained. They won't see their tax rates creep up over time. There will be a one-time, we're going back to Clinton era rates. But the people at the top, they will pay substantially. That, as we talked earlier, cuts the deficit in half, cancel the Social Security tax holiday, which isn't putting a single person to work, but borrow that money for one more year. That's $110 billion that we're borrowing to put in the Social Security Trust Fund to give this holiday. Supposedly puts people to work. $110 billion, put it in infrastructure, put 3.7 million people to work. We
problem solved.
Pretty much solved the problem.
The congressional I believe it's the House Progressive Caucus put together a budget. Jan Schakowsky was on our TV show a few weeks ago and laid it out in detail. Mm-hmm. You're a member of that caucus. That budget that you guys proposed balances the budget in 10 years. I mean, pays off the debt in 10 years, balances the budget right away. Why is it not getting taken seriously? The Progressive Caucus, correct me if I'm wrong, is the largest caucus in the House, or is it not? Or among the Democrats, anyway.
Yeah, I haven't counted recently, but it's right up there. So, because on the Republican side, they have a rule that you just can't increase taxes on anybody or anything, and if you close the most egregious loophole in the world, you can only use that money to further cut taxes for other people, or sometimes maybe you can use it for deficit reduction. So there's just. It's kind of like we've stepped through the looking glass here, and almost, it's almost as though much of our leadership and certainly the White House team has bought into these theories that, can't tax the job creators and, blah, blah, blah.
Right, yeah. Congressman Peter DeFazio, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your observations with us.
Thanks, Tom. Keep banging away.
Oh, you betcha. You betcha. And you too. And people, I'm assuming, Congressman, people should be calling their members of Congress and saying, I'm an independent voter, and I do not want the Gang of Six, or words to that effect. Okay, Congressman DeFazio, thank you.